When discussing an INFJ's habits and traits, there's plenty of relatable content that allows the INFJ to feel less alone. Without the ability to relate to the world around them, these relatable characteristics put things into perspective for this unique personality type. However, what about the distinctive experiences and challenges that come as a result? Welcome back, psychos. Before we get into it, we'd love it if you liked and subscribed to our channel, as well as to click the post notification bell so you never miss a video. Alright, let's get right into it. Starting with number 1. Feeling on top of the world one day and rock bottom the next. For the INFJ, confidence and self-esteem seem to change like the weather. Experienced in waves of greatness and insecurity, everyone with this self-critical personality type has felt the unpredictability of their ever-changing self-assurance. Affecting their overall motivation, determination, and self-understanding, these waves are not taken lightly and often come with no forewarning. Unlike other personality types who may be faced with a bump in the road that causes them to temporarily question their self-worth, the INFJ's wavering self-confidence ebbs and flows with no reason at all. One day, the INFJ may feel completely capable of following their wildest dreams, confident enough to start a new project, lucky to have their unique abilities and comfortable enough to be themselves around others. And the next day, they may convince themselves that they don't measure up, can't exceed others' expectations, don't deserve happiness, lack the looks, talent, or skills that others have, and ultimately should simply settle for a second-class lifestyle. This self-doubting is one of the most difficult aspects of being the INFJ type, and often holds them back from achieving the things they know deep down they're capable of. Number 2. Holding a strong belief only to believe the complete opposite later on. When it comes to words like balance or middle ground, the INFJ can't always relate. In fact, for this personality type, no matter what area of life it may be, careers, relationships, personal development, or philosophical beliefs, they tend to use an all-or-nothing approach. They use their research skills and imagination to determine whether or not they believe in certain notations or connections, and with that they decide which end of the playing field they'll root for. And despite their openness to hear opposing views, once the belief is set in stone, there's usually not much persuading that will make them change their minds, or at least that's what they personally believe. That is, until they come across a piece of information that sends them down the rabbit hole of unconditioning their original understanding. Whether it's a convincing piece of research, an unshakable intuitive hunch, or a certain action or behavior they can't unsee, every INFJ has experienced the uncertain feeling of deciding to go against everything they once believed to be true. Number 3. A weird sense of hollowness that comes after sensory process overload. While some people feel a certain aliveness after certain sensory-heavy experiences, the INFJ has the complete opposite experience. Often described as a post-sensory hollowness, when the INFJ goes from a high-stimulus environment to low-stimulus surroundings, it takes a while for them to adjust. It can be difficult to explain without having experienced it for yourself, but an example would be the trance-like feeling after a loud party. Even if the INFJ doesn't feel overwhelmed in the moment, and may even be enjoying themselves, once they get home and close the door, they become engulfed in an empty, numb, or even buzzing feeling throughout their mind and body. Through a mix of having a depleted social battery and the immediate internal processing of external observations they gathered, this unique experience is something that most INFJs wouldn't notice until they consciously take account of it. Ironically, a similar feeling happens in the opposite event. When the INFJ is taken from low stimulus to high stimulus, they may feel mentally paralyzed for a short amount of time until they get accustomed. Number 4. Feeling your mood switch when around certain people. Known for their stable emotions and composed approach to chaos, the INFJ personality type isn't usually considered to be an irritable type. However, every INFJ knows what it's like to feel their mood slowly change from their normally controlled and collected attitude to feeling grumpy, annoyed, snappy, or even sad when around those who project similar energy. Yes, if you know anything about the INFJ type's unique cognitive functions, you'll know this relatable experience is rooted in nothing other than their extroverted feeling function. With the ability to put themselves in others' shoes by subconsciously absorbing and feeling the emotions of others, INFJs can't shut off the natural process of altering their moods around others. Sometimes this actually works in their favor, as they're able to instantly brighten their moods when spending time with people that carry an upbeat optimism. On the other hand, however, every INFJ has experiences their moods dropping gradually the more time they spend with someone who tends to be reactive, often complaining, or even someone who carries a silent sense of distress that the INFJ can feel from a mile away. The only antidote? Time in solitude, where they are able to release, recharge, and recalibrate their energies. Number 5. Wanting to back out of plans they made when the time comes. Now, it's fair to say that most introverted personality types can agree that the making plans part of a social outing is much easier than the showing up to those plans part. Unfortunately, for the INFJ personality type, who can effectively put on their extroverted chameleon facade when necessary, following through with their social plans can feel even more confusing for everyone involved. This is because INFJs aren't usually reluctant to make plans with others and may even be the ones suggesting the future social outings in the heat of the moment. In fact, they use their idealistic imagination to vividly picture how the plan may unfold when it comes, ultimately fueling their desire to really commit to plans. However, contradictory to their convincing plan making, once the date begins to approach, all of a sudden the plans that were made don't seem as fun as they did in the moment. The original idealistic vision they had becomes overwritten with introvert-rooted dread, guilt, regret, and imposter syndrome feelings. Every INFJ has experienced this exact limbo between really not wanting to show up, but also really not wanting to disappoint. Number 6. A stranger becoming attached to their energy and presence. Empathetic and understanding, the INFJ's calm demeanor often feels magnetic to those they're meeting for the first time. Despite an at times cold and distant exterior, it's not uncommon for a stranger to feel compelled to become closer to the INFJ both physically and emotionally. Due to their unexplainably welcoming aura, every INFJ can recall at least one time in their life where a stranger spilled their deepest struggles, darkest secrets, and unhealed wounds onto the INFJ. In fact, sometimes it can almost feel like an unstoppable force, pushing them to dump their emotional trauma onto the INFJ with the inability to dial it back. They may even be apologizing in the process and yet still not put a halt to it until they've reached the bottom of their emotional barrel. Luckily, the INFJ doesn't mind. Actually, brain picking and emotional unpacking are the INFJ's strong suits when it comes to conversation, giving them the notorious name of being the advocate and the counselor of the MBTI. And lastly, number 7. Overestimating and overthinking about their own embarrassments. There's no question as to whether or not the INFJ type's innate overly observant habits can make life more difficult in some regards, and the spotlight effect is a perfect example of this. Considered a cognitive bias experienced by not only the INFJ type, some people have the habit of overestimating just how noticeable their embarrassing behaviors are to others. It's the feeling of thinking everyone in the room is observing and judging them, despite everyone seeming to be minding their own business. Although this mind trick is experienced by others, there's no INFJ that will have avoided this unique and uncomfortable feeling. In fact, for this personality type, it's in their own analytical nature of others that leads them to believe that others may just be observing them on the same level. Since the INFJ inspects others' appearances, social behaviors, habits, body language, and energy, they can easily convince themselves that others do the same, which is very rarely the case. No matter how much they try to remain on the sidelines, they can't help but to think that people are questioning their reserved and mysterious behavior. Well, psychos, that's it for today. So, let us know in the comments below of a relatable INFJ experience you've had in the past. Also, make sure to leave us a like, share with your friends, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a video.